Hello, my fellow comic book collectors. It's Alan, the Comic Collector Geek, and I'm joined with my less hairy friend from the overseas. He's a little shaved today. And this is the hottest Silver Age comics of the week, and it's gonna be a pretty cool list, actually. I hope that people enjoy this one because it's an interesting list. There's some comparing going on with it, so we'll
Okay.
see that. So this first one, oh no, that's the last one. This first one is actually I kind of wanted to show this because it was just a cheap book. I mean, it was $39 or
I mean,
38,
$38.
38.
That's about what it costs you to get it slabbed.
Exactly. So this is kind of one of those things that I always want to warn people about is that when you get those really, really high grades like 9.6 and restored, it just kills the value. It just
Well, it's
kills the value.
completely killed the value. I don't know if this had any value before, but the $38
Yeah,
worth nothing. Effectively, that's worth zero because the slab costs you $38.
yeah. So it's one of those cases where usually you get about a tenth of the value at that high grade because, let's say it's color touch and you remove color touch, the best you could get is probably like a 6 or
Yeah.
something. It just would be like the next level. So it's at super high grade. Restored is kind of the kiss of death. But let's see how it performed.
Well, it certainly
I'd be
has been a
very
kiss of death to this one. Mind
yeah
you, a 9.6 normally $300, so you're about right, about a tenth.
yeah about a 10th.
I mean, there are no lower grade ones. Nobody's bothered to get this graded at a lower grade. I mean,
Yeah,
that 9.8 there is one of one. Uh,
yeah. So it's an interesting one because with these Disney, or Looney Tunes, actually, this Looney Tunes, um, they're almost impossible to find in
that
high
is the
grade.
only restored one, by the way, Alan. That is the only
Yeah,
restored copy, so it's fairly
probably
unique.
somebody was shocked when they found that it was restored too.
I mean, there are only 20 of these on the census, Alan, so
Yeah.
I mean, it's
So
quite a
the
nice comic. I'm not sure. Would I have paid $38 for a 9.6 restored?
restored.
Maybe.
Yeah,
I mean, it's a bit of a
it's kind of
bargain.
cute. Yeah, it's a
I
bargain.
probably would, $38. Yeah, I might have done actually.
Are there any prior sales to this thing?
Yeah, not for restored. This is the only restored copy.
And it's the only sale.
It's the only sale. So a 4.0 sold for $58 in June.
Okay.
A
So I
9.8,
mean,
the 9.8 sold for 780 in November, but that's the only one. It's one of one.
yeah, so as I said, rule of thumb seems to hold on this one, that it's around that 1/10th mark.
Yeah,
Um, but yeah, I mean, seeing them in this high grade it's really rare. And generally they're not worth getting graded unless you can get above a 6.
yeah, yeah.
So
What year is this from? It doesn't say.
it's probably, I would say, like
It
it
says
should say on the slab. It
90.
should say I'm gonna guess like late 50s.
Yeah, it says
You'll
50.
notice um you'll notice another cool thing about it. It does not have the comic code. And that's because Dell never put the
Yeah,
code
we've
on
discussed
its
this
books.
before. Yeah, they never went for the code, did they?
Yeah, they thought their books are just, too pure and innocent to
Now, what's
even
interesting
bother.
here, Alan, is this is the file copy. Who's done a top color touch on a file copy?
I don't know, but somebody did. It's very odd.
So it would have been a really nice grade without the color touch.
You know, yeah, it's silly when people do these things. I've seen this happen with some pretty valuable books where they're probably a 9.2 or something like that, and then they're like, oh, but I could make it a 9.8, like a little higher grade, and they add a little color touch and just kill the value. That's probably what happened in this case too. I mean, it's slight C1, so it's amateur. Some amateur guy said, okay, well, there's a little bit of white showing on the black or something, probably, or
Yeah.
What was the
My
what
guess
is
is
it?
the
Is
color
it
touches on that black border down the side.
yeah,
Yeah.
but it's a cute cover.
It's a painted cover. It's very nice.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, it's quite nice.
Right.
Yeah, these
Okay.
giants usually had painted covers too. That's
Yeah.
another thing.
Oh, here we go. No, we're not going to get this mistaken this time.
We're not, that's why I put it on the list. I feel like we need redemption arc. This is our redemption arc. This is the golden record reprint, not the first print. Um,
Nice.
yeah, but we did show a pretty big record for this. No pun intended for this in the past. Where somebody made the same mistake that we did, where they thought it was
Oh,
the
yeah, and they
first
paid a
printing.
fortune for the golden record one, probably not realizing it was the golden record one. I mean,
Yeah,
how do you tell? So it's the price. There's no price on it, is there?
there's no price on it. That's the big tell.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, but it's a cool book. I mean, it was like a couple years after that
Yeah.
they printed these.
Yeah. No, it's fairly
So it's
short.
an early print run,
60,
early print.
no, 66. So it is 5 years later.
Oh, 5 years later. I thought it was
Yeah,
earlier than
I
that.
think
But
I think the Alan. Oh, I definitely think the Alan Class reprint is earlier than this.
I thought you said that the Alan Class was like 63 or 64
63,
somewhere.
yeah, I think his reprint will be 63 or 64, so it'll be earlier. So his is the first reprint.
Wow, that's interesting.
I hadn't realized
So
it was as late as 66, so that's
yeah,
fine.
I thought it was earlier too. I thought it was like a couple of years later, but I
Yeah,
guess it's
yeah,
5 years later, which
yeah,
makes a big difference.
yeah, yeah,
Um, but I
yeah,
mean, these golden record ones, I actually love to own like the set, like
yeah.
the golden record reprint and the record. Um, because they're quite cool. Um,
But they're
yeah,
flexible. This will have gone for a reasonable sum of money. Yeah, it did. 408.
408, which seems to be about what you would expect, I'd say.
So 70. So there are 857 on centre selling. And a 70 fair market value is currently 600. 600. It's a bit down here. Yeah, so this is
Okay.
down. This is down. It's down here. This was going back up. Previous sale was 990, and this is coming
Wow.
down to 408.
So it
Oh,
really
sorry,
dropped.
previous sale 990. Yeah.
Wow.
So what somebody's out of court here. That 990 probably sounds like I don't know what's going on there. That was a eBay fixed price sale.
Wow. Now, could have been that there was the best offer on it and
It
it
doesn't
actually
say,
went for
usually
less.
says it if there's best offer. It doesn't say.
Usually it says, yeah, so that's really interesting. Somebody overpaid. But yeah, I would have thought this was reasonable price. Usually, again, remember the rule that I said with the restored, it actually kind of applies to reprints as well. Usually you get about a tenth of the value. So I'd be curious how this compares to just the regular Fantastic Four #1 in a 7.0.
Ugh.
Is it following that rule of 1/10? I don't think it is. I don't think it is. Actually, I'd say it's more like 100th or something like that because
Yeah, I
I
mean, a
know like
Fantastic Four one 7 out is going to be is
pretty expensive.
more than
Yeah,
$4,000. Um,
it's probably closer to $70,000.
yeah,
So yeah, I thought that was an interesting sale. Actually, if you look at it, the census is quite low compared to the actual first printings.
yeah. Helps if you can spell. Too many U's in four.
Yeah, it's the British way of spelling it with the 20 U's.
They're throwing me these random questions. It's putting me off. Right.
Yeah, well, I got to make it interesting for you.
Fantastic Four one. Come on, go to let's
Like,
get your wheels running. There's no global IT downtime today. What's going on?
mm,
82,000.
82,000. So I was guessing around 70, but yeah. So that's well, if it was the actual $1,000 sale, which was the 990. Um, I would say it's probably should be around that $700 range.
Yeah, yeah,
And then there'd be
which
one,
it
it'd
has
still
been. You
be
know,
one
it's
tenth,
been everywhere between
100th.
900. So this is a low sale. Somebody's got a deal here.
Somebody got a deal, but it should probably be around that like $700 range.
Yeah,
But that's still 100th of the price. Wow. So that shows you how little the reprints go for.
yeah. You need to get there on Class One. It sells for more than this.
Yeah, because it's earlier as
It
we
is
just
earlier,
discovered.
yeah.
So
Right.
interesting.
Okay. Oh, I have never seen this comic before. This
So we're talking about reprints. This is White Rider Super Horse.
right.
Um, this is actually a reprint of a reprint.
Reprint of a reprint.
Yeah, so this
Using
is
the
LB.
same cover all the time.
So yeah, it's the same cover.
It doesn't say
So
it's
what?
print.
Yeah, I'll explain this one. This one requires a bit of an explanation. So the artist LB Cole,
Yeah.
he created Star Comics. Okay.
Uh-huh.
And Star Comics, basically what it would do is take material from the Golden Age, and it was a Golden Age company, and would reprint that with new covers that LB Cole would create, and he would create these kind of cool looking covers. Okay,
Yeah.
so he could sell them quite well because people loved his covers.
Yeah.
Okay, and all the interiors were pretty much reprints.
Yeah. Got it.
Now, those books are actually quite rare and quite sought after. So what had happened was they did what's called accepted afterwards, where they reprinted his reprints. Okay, so
Right.
this is an accepted reprint of the
Okay.
reprint. Okay,
Right.
so it's like,
Okay. I think I've got it.
yeah. So this, and these are actually quite hard to find in themselves. They're not as expensive as the original Star Comics editions, but they are definitely still sought after because they are hard to find.
It's a nice cover.
Yeah, I mean it's so LB Cole. He
Yeah,
he
very
does these
LP
crazy
cover. Yeah.
colors and
Right. There are no listed copies.
so yeah.
There is zero
So
on the census.
I and it's one of those ones where you can't really say. Now I've seen this comic before, and generally because it is like Super Horse and White Rider, um, it's not as expensive as some of his other stuff. He has like ones with like jungle, like Terrors of the Jungle,
Yeah, Jungle
um,
Women. Yeah.
and jungly women and romance books. Those go for quite a lot because they're good girl art. This is not good girl art. So
No.
it generally doesn't go as much. Like I actually have a couple of the white horse or white riders in my collection, and I paid around $50, but they're pretty low grade. They're
Yeah.
like 30, 40 range. So this is to me a very strong price. Um, for a very cool
Wait, a
book.
very rare book. I mean, the census is
Yeah,
showing none. There's at least one. Uh,
yeah. So this is probably the only on the census and probably the highest grade on the
yeah.
census.
Yeah.
So a very cool book though. It is as I said, it's the reprint of the reprint.
Yeah. Interesting. Interesting stuff.
Yeah.
I've seen that one before. Good bit of history there, Alan.
Yep.
There we go. And next up, we've got Our
So the
Army of
next,
Four, Sergeant Rock.
yeah. So the next two books are kind of interesting. And a little bit of a comparative, like not quite a direct comparison, but I'll show you what I mean by it. So this one is the first
DC
appearance.
is Sergeant Rock, and
No,
Marvel.
it's the yeah, it's the first appearance of the unknown soldier.
Right. Ah, okay.
So yeah, so he's kind of a key character for our army at war.
Yeah, I'll have to say, if he's unknown, how do you know you haven't seen him before?
I know. He's actually got one. He's one of those characters that has multiple potentially first appearances. But this is sort of the accepted first appearance of the unknown soldier.
Whose cover art is that? It's not Joe Kubert. Yeah, Joe Kubert cover and art. Yeah. Okay.
And
Very
it's a
nice
checkered
cover.
cover. as
Fantastic cover.
well.
Look at the colors on this.
I know it's quite pretty. I mean, it's a 9.4. What do you expect? So very solid copy. Um, I have this in
I
a
got
treat.
defeated. So I was very disappointed this week. So I was scouring the UK auction sites as I usually do, and I came across this lot of comics that just sort of said DC, lot of DC comics. I don't know, about 80 of them.
Okay.
There was a few Bronze Age horrors in there, but it was generally, dollar binny stuff. And then there were about 10 or 12, 10 to 12 cent army comics. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Our army at war, fighting forces, GI combat, all from the early 60s. So, I
Okay.
thought, okay, well, they're worth having. And I was going through them, and lo and behold, one of them was the first appearance of the Haunted Tank,
Oh, wow.
which
That would
sells
be a
for
nice
big
pickup.
money. Sells for sort of
Yeah, it's a major key.
even a low grade, you're talking a couple of $100.
It's a hard book to find.
Yeah, and it was just sat there in this lot. And I thought to myself, and the lot was sitting at about 30 or 40 quid. And I thought, right, I'll go have a bid on this one and I hope nobody else has spotted it. Unfortunately, one other
Somebody else
guy had
did.
spotted it. And
So they outbid you?
I set my limit and he went beyond my limit. I put one more bid in and he bid again. So I lost it. I was really annoyed.
Yeah, that sucks.
Yeah. First appearance of the
So how much did it go for?
Well, the lot went for about 200 quid. My maximum was about 160.
You should have gone a little higher.
Yeah, no, it's always regrets, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's
I
difficult
know
though
it's
because
always,
if you set a limit and then you go above it, it just becomes a bidding war and
yeah,
end
then
up
you
like
could pay
silly money.
you could overpay. And
Yeah,
the problem is when you're going for one comic in the lot,
yeah.
it sometimes can be kind of like, why am I buying it this way?
No, there
Like,
were
I
about
should just
10.
focus.
There were the other 10 were worth something as well. I mean, they weren't as much as the first Haunted Tank, but
Yeah.
they were sort of 20, 30 pound comics. So maybe I should have gone for it. I don't know. You don't
Yeah,
know how far the other guy's going to go, and
yeah, you never know. It probably if they spotted the haunted tank, they would
yeah,
know.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because it's not obvious. It doesn't have the tank on the cover. I only found it because I put typed in to go collect, and it came up with well, bloody hell, why is this one $3,000 for a 9 foot?
Yeah, it's like that one. It's very desired. Like the haunted tank was a very popular character, I guess. I'm not
Yeah.
sure what.
Right, let's have a look at this one anyway. 9.4 went for 1,300. I think it's quite respectable, isn't it?
Yeah, but so look at the census.
Well, it's only 130. These are rare. These war comics are quite rare.
That's my point. So I want to do a bit of comparativeness between this one and the next
Oh,
one.
look at this price. It's right down here.
Yeah.
This has come down,
So
Alan.
yes, I know. So what was the peak? The peak wasn't that
Wow. I mean,
high,
wait,
but
somebody bought one for 1,800, 2,200 in 2019.
yeah. So it's been consistently dropping, basically.
Yeah. Yeah.
And now it's selling for 1,200
Yeah.
or one. Yeah.
Yeah. Not a good long-term investment, I don't think.
Yeah, which is sad actually, because it is kind of a major character for
Yeah.
the series.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, so we see that this is like, is this at the top of the census or near the top of the census?
Yeah.
Like,
Well, there's
there
no
was,
98. There's 198, which has never sold. There's
yeah,
196, which sold 10 years ago. And then you're into the 9.4s, this is one of them. So very,
yeah,
very, this is probably the highest available grade in reality.
yeah. Okay, so keep that all in mind. Okay, when we look at the next book.
Right. So now we're on to Marvel's version of Sergeant Rock, and that is Sergeant Fury.
Yeah, so the previous one isn't Sergeant Rock; it is the unknown
Oh,
soldier.
sorry. Yeah.
But
Yeah. Yeah. Sorry. Yes. Yeah. Okay. Whereas
but I
here we
mean,
have
so
got,
it's a secondary character, but it's
We
still a
have
pretty
got
major
first
character.
appearance of Sergeant Fury here.
And then this is a 5.0, and
Yeah,
it's almost double the price.
yeah. Because well, it is his first appearance, Alan.
Well, I'm saying, this is first appearance versus first appearance. But, this is
Yeah,
a
I mean, you're
bigger character.
comparing
I give
Sergeant
that.
Fury to the Unknown Soldier. I mean, you know,
I know it's not even comparable. Yeah. Nick Fury is a much bigger character.
if you did the first appearance of Sergeant Rock versus the first appearance of
I
Sergeant,
know. Well, I couldn't. That wasn't available, so
no,
I'm going with. But the things that I would like to point out are we got a 9.4 versus a 5.0,
yeah,
half the price,
yeah.
and look at the
How
census
many's
on
on the
this book.
census for this one? Uh,
Next one. Yeah.
1280. Yeah, it's still quite low for Marvel.
Yeah. So, but it's 1,000, right?
Yeah,
That's 10 times the census
yeah, yeah,
and like way lower grade.
yeah, yeah. But how many films has the Unknown Soldier been in?
I know none. I don't think I know like, this is a way bigger character, but I'm just I know it's not quite apples to apples, but I just feel like it's like that DC book. It's really undervalued, just by the sheer grade and the sheer like 1/10 of the census. You know, I
Yeah.
it always amazes me how much Marvel books go for.
So I have this. Um, I'll tell you what happened with this one. I went to the London Comic Mart, and this
Hmm.
old chap appeared at my table and said, "Oh, I've got a Sergeant Fury #1 at home. Are you interested?" I said, "Well, I don't collect Sergeant Fury, but I am a trader, so I'll give you a dealer's price." Anyway, he came back the next one and he brought it with him. And
Okay.
I, I looked at it, I reckoned it was about a 3035, something like that.
Okay.
And I looked at this and it says fair market value here, 330, 650. Anyway, I offered him 200 quid.
Oh, jeez. Wow, you're such a jerk. Okay, go ahead.
And he took it. So yeah, I have a copy of this. Sure, will
Wow, that's a
probably
great
get
price, by the
graded,
way.
probably get it, send it off to probably cleaned and pressed and sent off to CGC, and it might
That's a
come. Let's
really
hope
great
let's hope
price.
it comes back a 4.0.
Yeah. Wow, that's amazing. Even like this book is actually quite hard to get. So let's see, how did this one perform? It's a 5.0.
Yeah, let's have a look.
Oh,
That's up on the previous
it's actually
sale.
up. It's so we ignore the COVID bumps, but
Well, it's a lot up on the previous sale. So one sold in
yeah.
March for 1141, and this sold for 2,000. So
And
that's
it's way above the trend line.
and it's
Way above the trend
yeah,
line.
it is. That's way above the trend line. Yes.
So that's really good.
Yeah. Yeah. Some reason this one is I think
Performing well.
Sergeant Fury is the people love their war comics.
I don't think so.
Well,
Never,
some of these war comics
but
really,
it is Nick Fury's first
yeah,
appearance, right?
yeah, it is Nick Fury's first.
Um,
I mean, he is
I guess
is he A-list Marvel or is he B-list?
it's hard to say. I mean, if you think about it, he's been in the most movies of all of them.
Yeah, yeah, he probably has.
He's in pretty much most of the Avengers movies. He was in the
Quite a
Captain
lot of
Marvel
stuff.
movie, and he was in like a bunch of movies.
Yeah,
And he had his own TV series.
yeah.
So very well utilized character. But I don't it's hard to say. Um, I don't know. I don't think of Nick Fury as being A-list, but maybe he is. Maybe he is.
Well,
I
he's on
mean,
that borderline, isn't he? I'd have him sort of somewhere hovering around the A and B list.
but you have like A-list character actor playing him.
Oh, yes, definitely, yes.
You know, um, Samuel Jackson is
Yeah.
awesome. Um, so yeah, I don't know. It's such a weird one. But yeah, so it's interesting to see a Marvel actually go up for once.
Yeah, well, it's up on the last sale, and it's nicely up on its pre-COVID values. So yeah, good one.
Hmm.
Ending on a high, Alan.
Yeah, so we end on a good note. So yeah, so that's it for this part of the video. If you want to see more and the big sales of the week, go over to Mark's channel and watch part two because there's some pretty cool things that I put on his list. Not one that he might be missing, and I'll save that for later videos. But uh, there is one arachnid. It's not the one that Mark is used to,
Oh,
but
okay.
it is a cool sale. So go over there, check it out. You got to see it. Bye for now.
Bye for now.